This is an interesting one right here. This is an interesting one right here. Okay, let's get right into it. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Last year, they were 40 and 42, 10th seed in the West, and Shai Alexander was all NBA first team. That's the notable stuff. This year, my projected record for them is 36 and 46, 11th seed in the West. First of all, this team is extremely young. Extremely young. They have so many young players, and it's kind of like, wow. Because Josh Giddey and Shai are definitely starts, like locks for starting lineup. Trey Mann and Isaiah Joe are two players who are still like somewhat young, but not extremely young, but they're still like good backups. And then you have Cason Wallace, who you just drafted, who's in the third string lineup. And I mean, the season just started. He was the 10th pick in the third. The season did just start. Or, well, the season didn't start yet, but when the season starts, I expect him to be here. And I mean, he could play his way up to in the rotation, but I didn't like this pick for the Thunder because they have so many players on the team, and I don't want Cason Wallace to get lost in the shuffle. That was one of the main things I had with the team. They have so many young players. They're so young. Are any of these guys going to be lost in the shuffle? And they probably are going to be. Like, who's a great example of this? Jeremiah Robin? No. Ousmane Dieng. That's a great example. He's a forward, and he was drafted with like a lottery pick, I think. Or he was drafted with like a first-round pick at the very least last year. And I don't know how much playing time he's gotten, but he's definitely not getting that much this year. I mean, there's a chance he gets more considering he's a second-year player and he deserves more minutes, I guess. But you also have Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams, Jalen Williams, Chet, Poku, Jeremiah Robinson. And I mean, of course, when you have a deep lineup like this, it's good to have this many players because if injuries happen, which they likely will, when you have guys like Chet Holmgren on your team and Victor Oladipo, who's also here. When injuries happen, it's useful to have guys who can come in and play for them. But it's kind of weird because when the injuries aren't happening, these guys are just sitting on the bench. And I mean, they could run like a 12, 13-man rotation. I wouldn't even be surprised because of the amount of young talent. But I mean, you can't really do that every game of the season because you're trying to win games at the end of the day. You have Shai Alexander, a top 15 player in the league. You don't want to just be sitting back and letting your young players develop this entire time. You also want to win to an extent because if you don't win, Shai might get unhappy. But yeah, I can see a lot of these players getting lost in the shuffle. That's my main point. But aside from that, this team looks very, very nice. Josh Giddey he showed a lot of potential. He's a great playmaker, just a great player. He was getting triple doubles, I think, last year. He was doing really, really well, and I expect to see a lot from him this year. If the Thunder actually exceeded my expectations and made the play-in at the very least, I could legit see Josh Giddey being a possible All-Star. Maybe. I mean, you have to be a really good team to get 2 All-Stars, so that would only be if they were amazing. So that's why I don't know how sure I am of them being amazing this year, especially because of how young their team is. You look at how, like, all the ages of the team. I mean, you have Victor Oladipo back in the OKC. I just realized that. Victor Oladipo, and you have, well, that's mainly the only, Lou Dort, I guess. You have some older guys who have had experience winning games, but a lot of this team is going to be going through growing pains. They're going to be playing through the season, and they're not going to be playing the best they can. And when you look at the talent in the league right now, the younger teams are probably going to end up closer to the bottom, especially in the West. Because in the West, you have so many superstars, and it sucks, but I had to put the Thunder out of the play-in. I could easily see their ceiling being a solid 7 seed, or maybe even a 6 seed, maybe even higher. but I have them at 11th because of how young this team is. That's my main thing with this team. They're just extremely young, and I don't know how good they're going to be. But of course, feel free to surprise me, OKC. I'd love to see a surprise. I haven't even talked about Shai, but there's not really much to say about him because we saw what he did last year. We saw how good he can be. The question is, can he carry that into this year? And I think the answer is yes. I think he could possibly be even better, but we'll have to wait and see, man. I want to see that. I want to see how good he'll be, but of course the team isn't gonna be winning a lot, especially with the cast you have right now. Of course, given a few years, they'll definitely be very, very good. But as it stands, the most likely outcome for this team is around the play-in territory, or borderline play-in territory. That's where I see them right now. But feel free to prove me wrong. I would love to see the Thunder do amazing. The biggest question about this team is Chet Holmgren, because he missed his rookie year from injury, and now he's going to, well, this is going to be his rookie year, but he's going into this year, and of course, he had the injury. He had people doubting him from even before he came into the league because of injuries. And I expected him to win Rookie of the Year when he first got drafted. He was my original pick for Rookie of the Year before he got injured. But I don't know how good he's going to be, especially because his frame, that was one of the biggest questions about him coming out of the draft. And it looks, when he's dealing with bigger guys like Embiid and Jokic and guys who will bang you down low, guys who will take you in the post and try to score, it's gonna be tough for Chet to guard them, at least at the very beginning. But I don't even know if that's true because he was getting mad blocks. But that also could be because these players like Chet and Victor are lanky, they have long arms. They're not especially strong though. So just because you get blocks doesn't mean you're gonna be a great post defender. We'll have to wait and see, but he has tons of potential. And his potential adds to this Thunder team's potential even more, because if Chet actually ends up being as good as everybody thinks he's gonna be, that would be amazing for OKC. I'm not gonna lie, this team is looking nasty coming into the future. But we still don't know what to expect from him. So, I really don't have much else to say about the rest of the team. Just so much untapped potential, so many young guys. We'll see what happens. Of course, Victor Oladipo, I expect him to bring a veteran presence to this team. But another thing that he adds to this team is extremely injury prone. They have a lot of guys who can get injured pretty easily. So I hope that they do well, but we'll see. My ranking for them, or my projection for them, is 11 seed. This video actually was one of the shortest, probably the shortest one so far that it took to record. Probably because I don't have much to say about them. Shai is pretty much a sure thing. Giddey, I mean, hopefully we get a jump from him. And I talked a bit about Chet, but I don't have much else to say about this team. I just hope that each player gets the opportunity that they deserve to work on their game and to become a good player. And that's all I want. But yeah, that's about it. If they traded some of these young players to like a team that's rebuilding, like that's the Spurs or something, I wouldn't be mad, to be honest. That would be cool, but chances are they're not gonna do that. But it is what it is. Right now, I like the team, of course. I like the Thunder. They've been one of my favorite teams ever since the Westbrook and KD days. I'm rooting for them, but I don't have high hopes. I'm not putting my expectations too high. So we'll see what happens. And that's all I can say. If you enjoyed, thanks for watching first of all. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below any tips, tricks, or topics you have me to talk about on the channel. That'll be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.